It is my great pleasure to pay tribute to the Ford Foundation, an organization that is on the front line of social change around the world. As a fierce advocate for justice, the Ford Foundation, like John Jay, can trace its early involvement in the justice reform movement over the same 5 decades that John Jay has been in existence, which is also how long I've been in existence. Being at the forefront to change has led the Ford Foundation to support a number of John Jay's key initiatives, including the Justice Summit, which John Jay co-sponsored with Tina Brown, our Center on Media, Crime, and Justice, which is changing the media coverage of crime issues around the country, and for the Corridors to College Success, Prison to College Pipeline, Prison to College Pipeline Initiative. I heard a woohoo over there for that, yes. Which, along with the Pathways Project at the Vera Institute of Justice, is raising awareness of the need for college education in the era of mass incarceration. It is my pleasure to ask Ford Foundation Program Officer Douglas Wood, I think I just fell in love with him, to the podium so that we can honor him.
Hey there, Doug. Okay, picture time first. You're in the middle. You're the main event.
Oh, okay.
You're the main event.
Oh, sorry.
The podium is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rossana, and thank you, Jeremy, and thank all of you for your visionary leadership and for all of you for being here this evening. Wow, that was a powerful film. I can't tell you how honored I am to be here. I'm very humbled to be asked by Darren to accept the Global Leadership Award tonight on behalf of the Ford Foundation. And so on behalf of Darren Walker, our president, and the many dedicated staff, grantees, and partners of the Ford Foundation across the globe, I want to thank the John Jay College of Criminal Justice for this award. Ford is a very special place, full of very special people, and I want to recognize a few of my colleagues who are representing the foundation this evening. And I want to embarrass them a little bit by asking them to stand when I call their names. Sharon LaCruz. And I'm going to ask you to hold your applause to her at the end, but Sharon works in our Just Films documentary unit and is partnering with me on 4 powerful films this year on mass incarceration. You may know of the 2015 Academy Award for Best Documentary Film, Citizen4, which was funded by our Just Films unit, and Sharon headed up that funding. And by the way, Sharon helped me with my TED Talk, and the first time she saw a draft of it, she said, "This is really terrible." Wanda Mann, Altaf Rahmatullah, and Megan Morrison. Wanda, Altaf, and Megan have worked vigorously with me, along with 9 California-based foundations, to launch this coming fall the $30 million California Pathways from Prison to Post-Secondary Education project, which is modeled after the Vera Pathways program. Incidentally, Christopher Edley Sr., the first African-American program officer at the Ford Foundation, was Herb's program officer for that very first grant, and therefore, accordingly and fittingly, Christopher Edley Jr. is the faculty advisor at the Warren Institute at Berkeley Law School, one of our partners helping to design the California Pathways project based on Vera's work. Wendy Purifoy. Wendy is a senior fellow at the Ford Foundation this year, and for the better part of 30 years has had a long association with Ford. With her gracious and illuminating smile, she once told me, that justice is in the DNA of the Ford Foundation. Finally, you must forgive Vivian Nixon, as she has two roles this evening: as Executive Director of the marvelous College and Community Fellowship, Inc., which provides services to formerly incarcerated women to enroll and complete college. She's also here as a representative of the Ford Foundation and as a valued thought partner, colleague, mentor, and friend to all of us at Ford. So I want to thank my colleagues who are here tonight representing the foundation. I wanted to say a few more words about our marvelous President, Darren Walker. As the former Vice President of the Division of Education, Creativity, and Free Expression at Ford, he hired me and really gave me carte blanche to rethink our U.S. higher education strategy when I arrived at Ford 4 years ago. After 8 months of research, including conducting some 328 interviews across the country and visiting 27 prisons, now I'm up to 59, we decided that one important strand of our work would be to fund college and prison and reentry programs for incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals all over the country. This was not new for Ford. The aforementioned Christopher Edley Sr. did the same thing as a program officer in 1967. So just as you are doing tonight, we at the Ford Foundation continue to build upon our legacy of social justice and equity, not only here in the United States, but all around the world, and how fitting we are celebrating 50 years of educating for justice here at John Jay. Every year at the Ford Foundation, we have a law symposium for our public interest law school program. We call the symposium Striving for Justice, the Power of Public Interest Law. And every year I quote from the same man from the same book. I'm a big fan of Bayard Rustin. In the seminal biography of his life titled Lost Prophet, The Life and Times of Bayard Rustin, the author John D'Amelio ends the book with these words. In the last years of his life, Rustin was fond of repeating a statement that he attributed to A. Philip Randolph. Quote, "The struggle must be continuous, for freedom is never a final act." Unquote. A few months before Rustin died, a young friend asked how he kept hopeful in dismally conservative times. Said Rustin, "I have learned a very significant message from the Jewish prophets. They taught that God does not require us to achieve any of the good tasks that humanity must pursue. What God requires of us is that we not stop trying." We at Ford celebrate you tonight, and as you look ahead to your next 50 years here at John Jay, always remember, never stop trying, never stop striving, because freedom and justice is never a final act. Thank you very much.